You're listening to Your Purpose and Business podcast, where we connect you to possibilities. I'm your host, Raquel Walters, a two-time best-selling author, millennial speaker, corporate trainer, advocate, and clinical social worker at heart. Your Purpose and Business podcast will connect you with everyday successful people who will share their impactful stories, insights, challenges, failures, and triumphs on how they're navigating the working world, whether by climbing the 9-to-5 corporate ladder or starting, growing, and scaling their business. So grab your pen and notebook because you'll want to implement the nuggets and tools, strategies shared in every episode. Class is in session. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Your Purpose and Business podcast. My name is Raquel Walters, and I'm so thrilled and honored to have Joellen Newman here tonight on our podcast, as she will share her knowledge with us about how it is that she was able to navigate the working world all the way up to vice president in the healthcare system and starting her business and life coaching business. So Joellen, it's a pleasure and an honor to have you here today, and I just want to welcome you.
Thank you, Raquel. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's really an honor. Thanks.
You're very welcome. So let's go right into it. So Joellen Newman is the CEO of Transforming Your Tomorrows, a coaching company for business professionals and entrepreneurs struggling to rise to the level of their personal or business potential. Joellen became a multi-certified business and life coach after successfully being entrusted to develop growth strategies and strengthen revenue in the healthcare environment. After serving in influential, respected leadership roles in operational management, she established her boutique consultancy coaching services that combine intellect with intuition. Joellen spent 40 years working in the left brain. Once she left the corporate world, her intuition was given free rein and significantly strengthened, making her uniquely qualified to assist those struggling in their career or entrepreneurial business. Infusing the left brain skills with right brain strategies can massively increase profits and deepen your business relationships at all levels. Without developing a stronger self-awareness, you are leaving money on the table. You know that, right? Joellen's deep goal is to coach 250 entrepreneurial businesses to achieve an exponential level of their business. She wants to serve at the highest level and create the fullest essence of her clients and assist them in knowing that they have a duty to achieve more with their vision. Her job is to get them there. Oh my goodness, Joellen. It's such a tremendous honor, and your bio speaks a lot to what you've been able to accomplish. And, I just wanted to just add this in here. Ask every guest, tell us something that's not in the bio about yourself, anything that you want to share.
Oh gosh. I think probably I would share that I actually used to pilot planes.
Wow.
I used to fly Cessnas and tail draggers. And I don't put that in my bio. I obviously don't do it anymore, but I had a really great experience learning to fly and doing those touch and goes and all about. So yeah, that's one experience that I loved. I mean, I have a pretty interesting background just doing different things, but that was just one of them, and I felt pretty excited to do that.
Oh my goodness. So what led you into flying planes? I mean, that's awesome.
It's interesting. I started out as a nurse, and there was a man that I worked with at this. I started out actually as a nurse at a psych hospital, and he worked there too, or either that or I met someone who knew him, and they said he teaches people how to fly planes, and I said, I'd like to learn. And so I went out to the airport and, I signed up for it, and he began teaching me. So I think I met him through someone I was working with at the hospital at that time. And, gosh, I'm 19, 20 years old. I wanted to do everything. I mean, everything. I still want to do everything, right? And so I did. I'd get up at 6 a.m. in the morning and I worked the 3 to 11 shift at that time. So 6 a.m. was early, right? but I did it and I loved it. I loved flying above everything and seeing the land from a different perspective, because of course, you know, we're either in a car, a bus, a train, something, it's all on land, right?
Yes.
You can't see the perspective of the world, you know, from the sky. And so once you're in a plane, your perspective truly changes.
Wow,
So
that's
it
that's
was,
that's amazing, and
yeah, it
that
was
was a
great.
part of your purpose, right? I mean, you're on a podcast
Yes,
called Your Purpose and Business Podcast, which is gonna lead
yes,
me into my next question, Joellen.
yes.
What purpose do you think you have in this world?
You know, I think my purpose, you know, was really truly becoming a life and business coach.
Mm,
I started out as a little girl. I always wanted to be a nurse. I grew up to do that. I'm very blessed to have had that experience. I was not one of those nurses who got burnt out, thank God. I loved every experience through nursing. And of course, through that, you know, went through the ranks and I rose up to eventually become a vice president of a company. But all of that was really great. But it was really when I was going, you know, working as the vice president, and I had staff, and one of the persons who worked for me wrote me this beautiful note, and she said, you know, I couldn't be as good as I am at my job right now. And I'm paraphrasing,
yeah.
but I couldn't be this good without a coach.
Wow.
And I was the vice president, and she was on my team. And I thought, you know what, you're right. I believe in mentoring people. I believe in helping them see their aspirations at a bigger level. And so my purpose really came to me. You know, I was always, even in the corporate world, I always mentored other staff, or let me show you this is what I learned. Maybe you'd like to learn it too, things like that. So I think the more I worked that muscle, you know, I just loved it. I loved how people enjoyed learning more, but I also learned, you know, I loved how I felt about it. But I loved knowing that they were never belittled or never marginalized. They were always, always empowered. And that's the way I live life. I believe that you know, I really believe that my purpose right now is being that life and business coach, so that, you know, I've got a few years on me,
Yes.
and people don't have to struggle. They don't have to feel intimidated. They need to know, and I'm here, that there is somebody in their corner. They're never alone, you know, and I think that to me means the world. I mean, it's really why I do what I do. It's my why,
It
you
is,
know,
it
so
is
that, yeah.
so refreshing. I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish, but I just wanted to add there. I mean, it's so refreshing hearing from you that you value mentorship, coaching, you know, and to hear that feedback from that nurse is amazing. And I'm sure there's many persons who you've heard that great feedback from,
Yeah,
as to how you help them to just get through the job, or even to
right,
aspire them to navigate through the corporate world, because as we
right.
both know, corporate is not easy. Working in
No,
healthcare, we hear that background, it's not easy.
it is not.
And I know that, you know, it's refreshing, because at least for one of the millennial cries, and you know, I'm a
Mhm.
millennial, is that
Right.
in today's society we're blessed if and working world, we're blessed if we find a mentor, a leader, a manager that's also like you, have those qualities, that's able to mentor us, because that's what we're looking for, and the feedback.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You don't want to feel marginalized. You want to feel like you're the vice president too.
Yes.
Like you're part of that team. Like your voice really matters. No matter what the subject is, it's like, well, I have an opinion, you know, and I think when you invite people to the table, you know, they always say, are you putting your big girl panties on and now you're at the big table? Well, that becomes a bit exclusive. And granted, we all work to get there. But at the end of the day, I want to hear from everybody. I want to hear that voice. And I think that more we can do that as managers in the corporate world, as leaders in the corporate world, then we become the leader that we're
Yeah.
meant to be. We're not just managing, we're leading, and we're helping people realize that their true essence can shine even with a doggedly hard job.
Yeah.
Their true essence can shine. And that's the difference between somebody who's a micromanager.
Yeah.
It's like they make you crazy,
Right.
or a manager who wants to really subvert your goals, or a manager who really wants to put you down,
Mm-hmm.
and in order to make them look bigger. And to me, those managers always looked smaller,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I
They
agree.
always, right? How can you rise at the expense of someone else?
Yeah.
And so I love it. I love seeing, working with entrepreneurs, and especially entrepreneurs, and especially career women like yourself who are working in corporate worlds, saying, how do I climb this ladder? What do I need to know? What are the pitfalls out there? What are the obstacles, or what are things that could maybe make it a little bit easier for me? And first and foremost, you have to be good at what you do, study more, learn your skills, but really networking. I had the wonderful experience of being able to go to different departments and give presentations and network with, whether they were in billing or credentialing or, legal things, and that ability to be seen in a different light outside of your typical department gives you your own brand awareness,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And for those who are listening, because you know that this podcast is geared at those who are looking to rise up the ranks, or just to get promoted, or to shine where they are in corporate. These are very good tools and strategies that someone can use just to get some more exposure. But I also I know it's also good for business as well. Relationships
Yeah.
matter,
Oh,
you know?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, relationships, even though we call the corporate world the corporate world,
yeah,
it really is, at the end of the day, all about relationships.
correct.
Okay. So if we take away that big bad name, the corporate world, how are my relationships evolving today? What's my intention for my day? How do I intend for my day to unfold? Those are key questions, because that really first checks your own personal attitude. And when you check in with yourself, you're owning your power, right? You really may not feel good about going into the job that you're currently working at, right? But when you can shift your attitude, your perception at what you're doing, and say, you know what, let me look to be the solution to this problem and not part of the problem, then you will absolutely rise in the ranks in the corporate world. You
Right.
will, because we tend to, this is, in my coaching, I combine left and right brain, the logical side and the right brain side, which is very creative. So I often share with my clients, and I've taught this, there's a portion in our brain, it's in the back portion, the small portion, it's called the amygdala. And when we were cave people, that amygdala helped us fight or flight. Do I run, or do I fight for my food, or what do I do? So we are literally inherently driven to look to the negative, because it's kept us safe for millennials of years, right? That safety net. So we're having to retrain our brain to say, oh, let me look at what's working. And the more we can do that, you will rise in the corporate world. People are going to come to you. You know what? That person is a problem solver. That person looks at things like, God, they're so positive. And you can be judicious in criticism, as
Right.
long as you deliver it honestly and gently. But I'm not saying be a total Pollyanna, but I am saying that when a problem occurs, if you can look at it and say, well, let's take a look at this and see how we can solve it. And yet it might be a real mess, right? Okay, it's a real mess. Now, what are we going to do about it? How can we solve this? How can we get back on track to make the kind of money that we need to make for the company or for ourselves?
Right.
And I think that's a key component, checking in with yourself, making sure that you've got an intention for the day. Where am I starting my day at? Because I'm sure that your listeners can totally identify with, you get up, you stub your toe on the cabinet, you're pissed off about something, you know, you got a bill in the mail that you really didn't expect. Shoot, I don't have the money. And listen, a lot of people are out of work right now, right? And you're pissed off at the world, you're pissed off at politics, blah, blah, blah. However, if you can take a break and just breathe and feel the magnificence of the universe, that you have a breath, right? You have a choice.
Right. That is
of
so
how do I, right?
Yeah.
Right? You have a choice. And then when you feel that, oh yeah, I have a choice, then you get back into your own power and you can change that day, not just for yourself, but for others.
Yeah.
That's magnetic. And people know that. People want to be around you. You then become the magnetic, experience to others. Like, I want to be around that person. I want to be around, it absolutely happens over and over again.
Yeah, definitely. There's so many the gems there, so many takeaways from what you said on how to rise in the corporate world for those listeners. But on the flip side of that, what would you say to a person who also have those entrepreneurial, aspiration that probably, not necessarily want to leave their job, but also want to have a side business, like a side hustle, as these millennials call it, right?
Yeah, a side hustle.
Say to that person, like, how do they go about starting their business? And I know that you have a lot of experience in that capacity. So share with us, Ellen, what would be your thoughts?
I love your questions, Raquel. I love them. Well, I will tell you, entrepreneurs, first of all, if you can leave and be an entrepreneur full-time, jump in. You really have to take the leap. And I think, who was it that wrote the book, Take the Leap? He was the MC on a game show. Oh, I'm forgetting his name right now.
Harvey?
Yes,
Harvey.
yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Jump. I think Jump, I think.
It was a Jump. He might have written two, Jump and then Leap, or, but anyway, those are powerful decisions, right?
Yeah.
So if you can financially leave a full-time job and just become an entrepreneur, then go for it. If you're not quite ready, I totally agree. Stay in your full-time job and have that side hustle.
Right.
So what is a side hustle? What are you going to do? So first of all, you've got an idea of what you want to work in. So I'm a life coach. I was coaching even while I was a vice president of a company, right? I was teaching in an adult ed program. I'd leave work, at 5 o'clock as opposed to 7 o'clock in the evening. And I said, look, I'm teaching tonight, I'm going. And I'd have clients. And I made good money as a vice president, right?
Yes.
But I taught and I built my own brand. I built my experience as a coach. So whatever field that your listeners might want to go in, start doing it while you're already working. So what does that mean? Start getting speaking engagements, write to the Rotary clubs, write to, the various organizations in your town and say, look, I'm a struggling entrepreneur. Say whatever you want, but say, I've got a message that I would love to share it with your group. Would you allow me to speak? Go to churches, Unity churches or other churches, things like that. Those are great venues. And also join Toastmasters. Practice your skills at speaking, right? That skill will carry you very far. But if it's a side hustle, work on the internet. Where do you maybe you don't have a big email list of your own. So start looking at creating a landing page on what you want to talk about, and then create a webinar and draw people in. They want to listen to what you have to say. So I think that there's so many ways to start out as a beginning entrepreneur, a struggling entrepreneur, and frankly, that's who I coach. I coach entrepreneurs who really want to make $10,000 a month as a baseline, right? And that's my goal. I don't want you starving and like, oh my God, do I have the rent to pay this month, right?
Right.
And I think people need to hear right now, even though our society is going through the pandemic and
Right.
so many changes, and we're afraid, right? But we don't need to get drawn into the drama.
Exactly.
So when you, again, this is when you go back into yourself, it's like, okay, how am I feeling? I believe in myself, I believe in my product or my service, then I'm going to hustle and say, even do a weekend Facebook Live or a Zoom Live
Right.
and stream it like we're doing, and let people come in, say, send out invitations and say, hey, would you just share this with one person and have them come, and then build, slowly start to build that email list. That's a great way to get started, and then get ready to build out your, what they call the funnel, your process of what you want to share with the world, because it really ends up being your voice. You're touching them just in a different way.
Right, right. I love all those different ways. And you know, the audience can pause this video, go back, replay it, because Joe Ellen has given so much value. I mean, especially in this time right now that we're living in, for those who probably don't even have a second stream of income, we have to start building out additional streams of income. And
Right.
as you said, the 9 to 5, keep your 9 to 5, but also definitely start building out additional income streams. So if you're passionate about something else, start doing some more research and get better at it, hone in on that skill set,
Right.
and start sharing it with the world. So thank you so much for that, Joe Ellen. One of the things I wanted
You're
to
welcome.
ask you, you're very welcome. One of the things I wanted to ask you is tell us a little bit more deeply on how it is that you work with your clients.
Mm. Oh gosh, thank you again. I love kind of blowing people's minds, right? Not literally, but figuratively.
Yes.
And I take them, when they come to me, they are like, I want to make more money, but I'm or I don't know how to organize time, the structure of my week. And so I sit down with them, and I have a program called Conscious Creators Business Accelerator Program. And it really is a 6-month program for entrepreneurs to go from zero to whatever income they can possibly make in 6 months, right? So I've worked with realtors, I've worked with people who sold makeup, I've worked with other coaches, I've worked with people who sell jewelry, I've worked with doctors and accountants and things like that. And but what I do in my coaching is I take them. First, we discover what's the issue and where do you want to get to. So there's a left brain side of it that is very logical, very analytical, that say, okay, what steps are you now taking? And then we look at the gap, because there's always a gap from where you are and where you want to be, right? So we have to look at that logically. But then I help people get into their right brain. It says, all right, there's something in your brain that's just saying, I'm not good enough. What if they tell me no? I'm so afraid to do a sale. What if I don't
Little
say the
negative
right
voice.
thing? All that self chatter, right?
Yes.
That is like, it's all that mind chatter that can, and they just sit right on your shoulder all the time, whether that's anxiety or whether that's fear or whether that's, oh my God, I don't know enough and they're better than me and all those things. I get into that right brain and I take people through processes. I do what you call future mapping, which is very subconscious work. I do meditative processes. I might even pull oracle cards and say, let's look at a problem like this. And I don't ask people, look, you don't need to believe in this. I don't want to scare you. They're just psychological cards
Right.
with pictures and an opportunity to look at a problem in a different way so that you can actually reach a new answer to an old problem, right? You want a new outcome. So if we don't, in science, it's called neuroplasticity.
Right.
If we don't think a different way, a higher level or a different perspective, just like when I first started out, you know, we all see the world differently as we're driving or on a bus or on a train or whatever, right? But when you're in a plane, you're literally looking at everything totally different,
Really different.
right? So that's the whole thing with right brain processes, whether that's you know, trying to write automatic writing for 2 or 3 minutes, whatever comes out, and deciphering that using oracle cards, meditations, that becomes so deep and so telling that my clients go, oh my God, look at what this says, you know, and you really help them get to a new level. And my coaching is evidence-based. I start out measuring where you at on a scale of 1 to 10 as you start working with me, and then where are you at the end of that hour on a scale of 1 to 10. I would say 100% of the time, their level is always raised.
Right.
Now, I like to get them to a 10, but I'm not going to take somebody from a 2 to a 10, right? It's like you start out as a baby and you're not going to go from infancy to college. You have to
Right.
go through the process.
Process.
So it is a step ladder effect, but as long as you're raising your vibration. So let me put it in really simple terms for everybody. Remember when, as women, like, oh God, we want this boyfriend. I really want this guy. Or, you know, hey, I really love this girl, you know, right? Those things. So, but we're in a state of angst or yearning, right? But when you're in love and you haven't been with that person intimately yet, that's a whole different feeling. Like the world, you're on top of the world, you're happy, you're excited, nothing can go wrong.
Right.
That's a very different level than from yearning, and it's like, oh my gosh, right?
Right.
To, oh my God, I am so stoked with this person. I love it. It's a very different feeling. So when people can see that and feel that difference, everybody can identify with that, right? We've all had, like, I hope he likes me, you know, I hope he loves me. And it's like, what if he doesn't? And this and that. And it's like, you're still like, you know, the angst phase. And then all of a sudden you've gone through all that and you have this magnificent relationship that you're so in love. And you really look at the world differently, right? Nothing makes you unhappy, right? That's exactly helping people understand their right brain. It's like, what's stopping you? And it is the right brain, because we can get through all the logical stuff. Look at the history of our world, right?
Right.
But it's it's our own self-sabotaging that prevents us from moving forward.
Oh, that is so true and awesome. Do you have any upcoming programs that you can share with our listeners?
Yes, I am going to be doing a group coaching session
Yes.
starting in the middle of October, just to get us right before the holidays so that people can be a little bit more settled for the holidays. And it will go through Zooms because, you know, obviously we still have some social distancing. Things are beginning to open up little, but I am going to start a group coaching session for people who maybe don't want to buy perhaps a more expensive package as one-on-one coaching or something for as long as six months. And that will just be for maybe 6 weeks, but I'm thinking 4 weeks so that people do have an understanding of what is coaching? What am I supposed to do? What's my accountability? You know, those things, but really get some effect from 4 weeks of coaching.
Oh, that's awesome. So you're anyone can join in that's either starting their business and want to scale to about 10,000 a month, you're saying, right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And share with us how the audience can contact you, Joellen.
Well, the best way is you can go to my webpage. It's TYT-Life and Business Coaching. I know it's too long. Life and Business Coaching. So it's TYT. Go on that page. There's a PDF that 5 mistakes that I have really decided that entrepreneurs are making that keeps them from their 5-figure income each month. So you can download that, get on my email list, and you can get all this information on really how to start getting clear about your entrepreneurial business. And then once you're on my email list, you can just send me emails and let me know what your needs are, and you'll get my cell and start texting me and whatever you need to do.
Awesome. I'll definitely add your website and the information on the free download in the show notes. And in closing, Joe Ellen, is there any positive thing or mantra, affirmation, something that you do on a daily basis just to keep you focused on your goals and very intentional about how the way that you operate in your life and in your business?
I think one of the most important, I have two things. I have
Yes.
one, we can't stop contrast, right? We can't stop things that we don't like. We can't, we know we're going to get bombarded with, you've got to do this or this happens. And, we can't stop that, but we can check how we respond to it. So what I do is I have a phrase I love to quote: every day is a holiday and a day of Thanksgiving.
Wow.
So if you look at the opportunity to get up and breathe and just grace the day, it's like, all right, what can I learn, or what can I do, or what can I give, makes a huge difference. And maybe make the day a little bit better for somebody else just by smiling, right? And when, if you're down and you've got so much contrast coming to you, here's a really quick exercise you can do. You can get into a superwoman pose, right? Your hands on your hips or up in the air. And for 68 seconds, I want you to start saying, I'm a powerful manifester. I'm a powerful person. I can do this. I know I can. For 68 seconds. I've got great hair. I've got a great body. I'm strong. I'm smart. I'm confident. I'm excited about going to work. For 68 seconds, just fill in those blanks. And that changes your endorphin levels. It raises your testosterone and gets you in a better frame of mind. It works. It's a chemical release. So that shifts your energy. So hope those things work. Every day is a holiday and a day of Thanksgiving.
Every day is a holiday and a day
of Thanksgiving.
Every day is a holiday. Can you finish? Every day is a holiday.
And a day of Thanksgiving.
And the day of Thanksgiving. I remember that one, Joe Ellen. Yes. Awesome. Thank you. It's been such a pleasure to have you as a guest on my podcast. Oh my gosh, so many valuable lessons and strategies to, use in everyday life, I would say, and I'm so honored and thank you so much. And for everybody out there, definitely go and check out Joe Ellen's website. The information will be in the show notes. You definitely want to get onto her email list and also be a part of her upcoming group program that's coming up in October. Yep. So thanks again, everyone, for listening. And this is another episode of Your Purpose and Business podcast. Bye for now. Thank you for listening. If you've loved this episode, let's stay in touch. Head over to RaquelWalters.com and subscribe to my email list so that I can send you updates on new episodes, exclusive motivational nuggets, and insider knowledge that's only shared when you join our community. Please don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and leave a review, as I want to know your thoughts about every episode. Follow me on Instagram at Your Purpose and Business Podcast. And remember, your life is beautiful, and this is a part of your journey. So embrace it. Speak to you soon.